We're live from the top of the tower. Vassos, give us a big intro, please.
Our next guest is a best-selling author, motivational speaker, and smash hit podcaster. Her latest self-help book, Self-Help, This Is Your Chance to Change Your Life, does exactly what it says on the tin and is out now. So please welcome a woman who will stop you feeling shabby. It's Gabby Bernstein.
Let's hear it, Gabrielle Bernstein. All right, and if you want to watch this interview and you have the Virgin Radio app, then just press watch live. And if you don't have the Virgin Radio app, then why not, for heaven's sake? How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so good.
Welcome to the show.
We stop you from feeling shabby. We've got Gabby.
I'm
going to take that with me wherever I go. That was great.
You got your own podcast, yeah?
I do.
Tell us about your podcast.
My podcast is called Dear Gabby. Mm-hmm. It originated with folks calling in, asking me questions, and me coaching them.
You love it, don't you?
I love it, and now it's a lot of me just teaching, just giving lessons, and just sharing and teaching as much as I can.
And you had a live date. Was it last night?
It was last night. It was
Where
great.
was that? What happened?
It was at the Gillian Theater in the Theater District.
Yeah.
Gillian.
It's
beautiful theater.
Gielgud, not the Gielgud, was it?
It was beautiful.
Anyway, forget the location. What happened?
So what happened? I had a 2-hour talk with a beautiful audience of amazing folks who came out to just change their mind and change their energy. And
Love it.
They left actually feeling very empowered to not just heal themselves, not just do the work on themselves, but to elevate their energy, to elevate the energy around them.
And does that leave you tired, or do you get energized by it, or can it go either way?
I got very energized by it, but I'm only tired a little bit today because, and I can't say this to you because you're on radio, but
you really can't.
I really can't.
Whatever you're about to say, good luck.
My Aura ring said I had 5 hours and 55 minutes, but you're like, that sounds great. Yeah, you're like, that sounds amazing to me.
That's like hibernation for me. How dare you call your book Self-Help, Gabrielle Bernstein?
You know, I think that's actually when I said to my British publishers, I said to them, do you think we need to change the cover in England, because it's a big red letters, self-help, and I said, you know what, people can just take the jacket off the cover.
No, I love it. Okay, and you're 9 books in, and this is your 10th.
That's my 10th.
So you're allowed to corner the market. Self-help, guys, one and done. Here it is. Here you come. It's cool.
It says what it is on the tin.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. Now, we're not into... We can preach to the choir, but what's the point of that? We've got to get new people into the church. So people who don't know who you are, can you just give us like 4 Gabby Bernstein headlines?
Yeah, I've been a spiritual teacher and a self-help book author for 20 years, which is unbelievable to me at this point. I began my career when I was 25 years old. Shortly after I got sober, I was living a very different life.
Yeah.
I was representing nightclubs.
You went to all the parties?
Went to all the parties.
And stayed at all the parties?
Stayed at all the parties, never left. Yeah. And thankfully, I was very young, and I decided to get sober. And in that commitment to getting sober, I reclaimed a lot of the spiritual beliefs that I was brought up to believe in, the spiritual faith that I had, and started teaching people how to change their mind. And I've been doing that for 20 years now.
Good for you. I want to be Ollie. I want to have those chats you have with Ollie.
You want to be my child?
Yeah, we'll talk about Ollie in a bit. Because
he would love to know that you're talking about him.
Well, after I read your book yesterday, we always have story time with the twins. We've got 6-year-old twins.
Mm-hmm. My son's 6 too.
I know. And I just held them a little closer last night, and I made the space a little safer, and I had that chat, and I gave them that space that you talk about to just say something that may have been on their mind or in their heart.
Yeah.
So special.
Wait, that's incredible. That's so beautiful thing to have taken from this book.
I'm taking everything. I'm going to steal everything in this book.
It's yours.
And declare it my own.
You don't have to steal it. I'm giving it to you.
Now, by the way, I'm not saying you stole this at all, but you were inspired by this genius that you talk about and has written the foreword to your book. And this is the guy who created the IFS system, the Internal Family Systems. Now, I'd heard about IFS before. Yeah. Well, I thought I had. No, I'd heard of the title. And then I thought, but the last thing I want to do is discuss with my family, what's the chaos, because it's, often to do with family, but it's not the external family, it's your own internal family.
Yes.
Gabby, what is the IFS? Who's the guy? And then we'll go on from there.
Yeah, so internal family systems therapy can be a little bit misleading because you think, I have to deal with my family.
Yes.
It's not at all. And I think I've heard Dick Schwartz, who's the founder of IFS, and he's a dear friend of mine. I think I've actually heard him say that he sometimes regrets the naming it this. I don't know if he regrets it, but because there's a little bit of explanation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we have an inner family. The reason it actually was named internal family is because he came from a family systems background.
Yeah.
And so he just projected that and used those same tools to help heal the internal family.
Yeah.
And so inside of us, the thesis is that we have lots of different
Lots of uses.
parts of us. There's
Yeah.
lots of us's inside, lots of parts of us. So maybe you've said, a part of me gets outraged when my partner does this, or a part of me shuts down, or a part of me wants to drink, or a part of me...
Or work me, or party me.
Correct. And all of these, the IFS teaches that all of these parts of ourselves, that the ones that are most extreme, and sometimes the parts of ourselves we like the least, are actually protection mechanisms.
So we're jigsaws.
We're jigsaws.
That's with three-dimensional living and breathing skin and bone jigsaws.
Exactly.
That's
right.
Because Phil Stutz talks about part X, which is not dissimilar, is it?
It's not dissimilar.
It's the same thing, and I'm a big fan of everyone. I love it all. So tell us about the sun behind the clouds.
Yes. So the reason the book is called Self-Help is because we have these kind of activated parts of us inside the family of all these little inner children, kind of, and their protection mechanisms. But we also have a resourced part of us, the resourced spiritual essence, the calm presence, the compassionate connection. And in IFS, that's known as self with a capital S.
Yes.
And self, there's a beautiful metaphor that this one IFS practitioner uses, which he says, self is like the sun behind the clouds. And when the clouds begin to dissipate, that sun can emerge naturally. And we all have this energy that is calm, the same presence that you brought to your twins last night. And you said, okay, let's connect. That's your self energy. It's unburdened. It's calm, it's connected, it's compassionate, it's creative, it's courageous. It's the true essence. When we feel like we're in the flow, we're in self. When we feel extreme compassion, we're in self. When we're engrossed in a creative project, that's self. And I think a lot of people have a lot of disconnection from that self.
No, I love it. I love it. So much to say just about that. I could do the rest of the interview on just what you've said.
Exactly.
Yeah. What I love about so many things. So when you're in flow, for whatever reason, and you have the 8 C's, calm, clarity, confident, courageous, creative, compassionate, connectedness, and curiousness. When you're experiencing one or a combination of two or all of those or anywhere in between, and my daughter, for example, on Sunday, my eldest daughter, we would say we're a 10. Because when you feel present, totally present, you feel completely peaceful, you feel enough, you feel you got nothing to prove, you are a 10. And you can be a 10 because you're really happy. You can actually be a 10 because you're really sad.
Yes.
But you're fully sad.
Yes,
do you know what I mean?
Beautifully
you're owning
said.
the sad.
Beautifully said. I'm going to quote you when I get back out there on the stage. Because a 10 can be feeling some completely content, and a 10 can also be feeling completely sad because it's feeling completely.
Because when it comes to being present, you're a 10. Therefore,
with your
everything
presence.
you experience is a 10.
I love that.
And there can be real peace and calmness in true sadness, and there can be real anxiety in joy. Because that's an interesting thing as well.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting thing to bring up. Yeah, I think that, a lot of folks live with a belief that it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
If I have what I want, I can't keep it, right? I can't keep it,
which is reverse craving.
It is, and I think that we often get in the way of allowing ourselves to truly live life.
Yeah.
We don't allow ourselves to live because we're in these constant hypervigilant states of protecting ourselves.
Yeah. IFS, you talk about the protectors. There are managers and there are firefighters. You're going to have to read about that because I want to get onto other stuff. It's all great stuff. That's all absolute gold. Tell us about, because you are the queen of manifestation. You have appeared on so many podcasts talking about manifestation. And if you poo-poo the woo-woo of manifestation, then that's to your own detriment, to your own disadvantage. You're 1,000,000% wrong. That's a whole different conversation. But you do say that often we create false belief systems and networks that we don't believe because they're easier to navigate on a daily basis, even though they're unrewarding. But we'd rather be unrewarded and life be navigable. And that great thing, the easy way is the hard way, and the hard way is what seems like the easy way. Tell us about these false beliefs that we create. Why do we do that? Why do they stand in our way? What can we do about it?
Well, the false beliefs are back to the protection mechanisms, because as children, we've experienced difficult moments, whether we call it trauma with a big T or small t. We have experiences of feeling inadequate or feeling unlovable or feeling not good enough or even terror at times for children. And we don't have the ability to process those emotions. And in different cultures, they're really pushed down. I know this culture is very different than the US. You know, we've a lot more language and support sometimes around feelings and emotions. And it can be squashed, shut down. So what do we do with those big emotions as little people? We start protecting against them. And that's how we build up these personas. That's how we build up the perfectionist or the even the addict or
the victim,
or the people pleaser or the controller or the blamer. And we live in these beliefs of, if I'm not this, I'm inadequate. If I'm not perfect, or if I'm not a people pleaser. And what happens is those beliefs that we've carried for our entire life are actually the biggest block to our attracting power. Yeah. They're the biggest block to allowing what we truly desire to come into our life, because we manifest what we believe, Chris.
I'm on the bus. You can tell, can't you?
Yes, I can.
I am so on the bus. All right, so I have a friend. We'll talk about journaling in a sec. But before that, I have a friend who manifests, and he manifests by saying things out loud. Well, good for him. He says, but I don't write things down because I don't think that would work for me. And then he goes talking about, and that to me screams of protector. Almost like he's creating the belief of manifestation, oral manifestation, which is better than zero manifestation.
Yes, that's right.
Because the number one thing that people complain about in the world is not getting what they want, and the number one reason for that is because they don't know what they want, because they never call themselves out on it.
Right.
Because if you say something that you want, you then have a deal with yourself in order to be able to achieve it. Otherwise, you'll be a failure. Therefore, you may not set your goals high enough.
Yeah.
And I said to my friend, well, you might want to write things. I don't think that would work for me. Why don't you think that would work for you? Because journaling does work.
Yeah.
So just to speak to his fear. Do you think there's a fear there, a protector in there?
Well, I think that the thing that people really get wrong is this idea that we have to be manifesting exactly what we want, exactly how it's supposed to be, exactly at the right time, that the partner has to look exactly like this and be this tall, or the job has to come on this day. It's quite the opposite. We have to have big visions, and we must be able to be allowing ourselves to become unapologetic about those desires, but we can't strangle those desires. We can't force them to be the way that we think they have to be. We have to allow them to come into form. And so journaling is a great way to do that. You can just allow your mind to wander and just allow your pen to scribble on the page and just manifest by dreaming and visioning. And then at the end of that journaling practice, I would say it's this or something better.
Yeah.
Because letting it go is the secret.
Two things about that. So the first thing is, my friend who says these things out loud, maybe there's fear in there because that is more temporary, and he may forget what he said out loud, and he said it's so he's accountable to other people. They may forget he's ever said it. By the way, they won't care about it as much as he thinks they care about it. But if he writes it down, it's down.
That might be his fear, that he thinks if I write this down, then I have to hold myself to it. But here's what I want to tell him.
Yeah.
Stop holding yourself to it. Write it down, say it out loud, let it go.
Write it down, say it out loud, be free.
But let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Great.
It's this or something better.
Journaling. Right. Something you say in your book about journaling, which I have never, ever read before. So congratulations. By the way, talking to Gabby Bernstein about her book, Self-Help, this is your chance to change your life, is the fact that if you journal for long enough, it's like compound interest in the bank.
Yes.
You can look back at the journaling and you will spot patterns that you didn't know you were creating, and that's how you predict the weather. That's how you predict business ups and downs. And it can be the same from your journaling, and that's one of the most useful things. You will spot who you are, not via the words or the sentences, but by the patterns of repetition.
There's a chapter in the book called "Let It Out," right? So it's about journaling with these aspects of yourself and just allowing yourself to be fully present on the page, because no one else is listening, and it's a space where you can just completely become free. I have actually done a tremendous amount of personal development and healing just through my journals, and prior to getting sober, I had 30, 40, 50 journals. And it's just where I just let it all out.
Yeah.
It was actually the only place I felt safe for so many years.
And if you can't let it out to yourself, when can you? So the three things in Zen Buddhism we talk about is greed, hatred, and delusion. And self-delusion is the worst form of all delusion. So if you can't write it down and nobody else is going to see it, what else are you not telling yourself?
Right,
and
right.
why do you not want to write that down?
Right.
Even if you write it down and then burn it so nobody can ever see it.
Burn it, yeah.
Why wouldn't you? And people do that, don't they?
Yes.
So much to talk about. Let's talk about Ollie. So I don't know if I've got the... I could find the page, but just describe how important your nighttime sort of pillow talk is with Ollie, and what he gets that other people, yourself, myself, we didn't get, and how priceless that is.
Yeah, well, my child is he's 6.5. He has lots of big feelings and emotions, as all children do. And having this awareness through being a practitioner of internal family systems therapy and having authored this book, I am very mindful of the moments when protection mechanisms are sparking within him, right? The boy that didn't like him, and so we have deep conversations about, this kid when I was 3 wasn't nice to me, so now I've got this new friend that's not nice to me, and it feels like the same thing. And I can help him in those moments in the pillow talk unwind these big, deep experiences that might have taken over his life.
Yeah.
And we do that by checking in with them. And so I'll ask him, so how does that feel inside? What does that big feeling feel like inside? And then I'll be really curious and offer him that curiosity and that connection. And then I'll ask him with compassion, what do you need? And when was the last time you asked yourself, what do I need? And it's amazing to be able to be gifted that by someone who is a caregiver and to listen and to just truly be present with it.
And at the end of every chapter, you have the check-in process, which is described in the beginning of the book and then repeats all the way through the book, and is so useful. Chapter 10, self-forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't an action we take, it's an experience we have. Oh! So you just reading that makes you feel so much better, doesn't it? I'm looking for the chapter on prayer because so forgive me for not giving you eye contact. I want to find the chapter on prayer because
I'm appreciating if you're listening, which we are, he has dog-eared this entire book. There are notes all over on top. I've never seen anybody scribble on the pages. It's absolutely incredible.
This is what I do for a living.
And you've literally loved this book.
I love it.
So proud of this.
Well, thanks. You should be proud of yourself as well.
And it looks like your handwriting looks a lot like mine, actually. I don't know if that's a good thing.
So funny, isn't it? I have my handwriting for when I'm reading books is different to my handwriting for when I'm writing letters.
You're maybe less intentional. You're just letting it out.
Well, it's a different part of me writing it.
There it is. That's right.
This is this kid who didn't want to do his homework.
Yes.
Who now loves doing his homework.
Yes.
Oh, what's that about?
That's about you finding your joy and your passion, man.
Gosh.
It's great.
It's about having wonderful books by people like you to read, honestly. Gabby Bernstein says, instead of asking why the addict, ask why the pain.
Yes, exactly.
Tell me about that.
So a lot of us want to judge ourselves. It's interesting, Chris. I wrote this book during a year where I was working as a fellow at a recovery center.
Yeah.
And so every month I would show up and I would give these talks to a brand new group of 100 new addicts that had entered into this.
And is that part of your work in the program, being of service?
Of course it is. Yeah. In this instance, I was a fellow at a recovery center. I had this commitment every month to go and teach to these folks. And I'd come in and I would ask the audience, I'd say, listen, how many of you know this audience? It's a group of people in recovery. I'd say, how many of you experienced trauma? And every hand would go up in the room. And then I would look at them and I'd say, well, wouldn't it make sense that you would go to any length to protect yourself?
Yeah.
Even if it meant destruction and losing your job and being drunk all the time. And I just looked at them with so much love and compassion. And these are people who've come in judging the addiction, right? But then, as Gabor Mate says, we have to ask why the pain.
Yeah.
And so I had to look at them and say, well, clearly you have pain that you're running from. And wouldn't it make sense that with all that pain, you would do whatever it took to numb that out and anesthetize that pain? And can we look at ourselves just for a moment with a glimmer of compassion and say, hey, wow, I've been through a lot.
Yeah.
that would make me do this to myself.
One of my wife's most prized podcasts / YouTube channels is Soft White Underbelly. Have you heard of Soft White Underbelly?
Oh, I've got to check this out.
Oh my
Soft
gosh.
White?
Soft White Underbelly, and it's all about addicts.
Oh my
and
God.
What's fascinating and also not fascinating, because it's obvious if you think about it, because you've just said it out loud, is the what people will be willing to become addicted to anesthetize the pain of life, but they don't want to die. They just don't want to feel pain.
Yes.
And as an outsider, you look at their life, you go, well, death may be more favorable. No, you don't understand. I don't want to die. I just don't want to feel pain.
That's right.
Because I'm a human being, so I don't want to die.
That's right.
That's
right.
And that's exactly what you said. Yeah. Here we go, prayer. Just reading this paragraph last night. I had a very anxious day yesterday. Yeah. Very anxious day. And it was to do with cars. It was mad, right? Mad. But just reading this passage, it changed my day. Every single day, you talk about prayer. Prayer is the way to ask for help. When I got sober at 25, my sponsor told me that the key to sobriety was to strengthen my faith in a higher power of my own understanding. At the time, I had no relationship with God or a higher power, but I admitted I admired my sponsor's sobriety and inner peace, so I was willing to follow her. She said, "Fake it till you make it. Just go for it. You just do it. What have you got to lose?" And then there's a couple of paragraphs, and then I pick up. Every single day from then on, I humbly got down on my knees and prayed. And you know what? I felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. It is that easy. If you've never done it, give it a go.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can get a little hung up at times about prayer. People have different religious beliefs or experiences of prayer that may be stories that they don't necessarily resonate with anymore. But let's just demystify it. Prayer is a offering up. It's a giving over. And it's a chance for us, whether we believe in a higher power or not, to even just fake it till you make it, as I said in the book. Say, this fear that I have, this area of my life that I'm controlling, this burdened belief that I can't carry anymore, I'm offering it up today. I'm saying, take this from me. I don't know what to do with this. And even if you don't know who you're talking to, just try it. Just say, this fear today, I offer it up, and I welcome a power greater than me to take over. And that act for me, when I was early sobriety and I didn't understand what God meant to me at that time, or I didn't have a spiritual full-blown knowing that I have today, I just tried and I just did it. And I would just say humbly, this addiction or this fear, take it from me. And just one day at a time, just giving it away. Ultimately, I started to develop a greater awareness of what I was giving it away to.
But the sentence in the book was, immediately I felt like a weight was off my shoulders. I felt exactly the same way. It's not enlightenment, but it's lighter. We'll take it.
It's interesting that you say that. It's not enlightenment, but it's lighter. The path to enlightenment is just moments of light.
Yeah, well, back to where we started. The self is the sun behind the clouds. And if you feel a bit lighter, prayer is turning your own brightness up.
That's exactly right.
Which is beautiful. And worry, we often hear worry described as worry. Don't worry. There's no point in worrying. Worrying is like praying for bad things to happen. Faith is praying for good things to happen. Why wouldn't you choose that?
Because worry is another protector.
Yeah, of course.
It's another part inside, right? Yeah. We worry because someone close to me, I was going to say who, but let's just be nice. So someone in my life who I admire and love
President
very deeply.
Trump.
God no, not someone I admire. But let's not go there, Chris.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
A family member of mine is a big worrier, and I witness her, and sometimes we'll joke about how much she worries, and instead of judging or sort of joking about it, I'd rather look at her with compassion and just say, oh my God, she's worrying because she's overriding deeper feelings. She's using the worry to not have to feel something else. Yeah. And it's an addiction.
Right, we're almost out of time. What are you going to do from here? I mean, not in life, just today.
Today, I'm going to go sit with my dear friend Fern Cotton, have a nice conversation with her.
Because you've been on her show before.
Well, we're very good friends. We've been on her show for years. I love Fern so much.
Fern, she's just written her first novel.
I do know that. And she's just very prolific. She's an amazing human. I can't wait to be with her.
Are you going to be at a festival?
I was last year, not this year, no.
Okay.
And then I'm going to Portugal, Chris. I'm going on vacation tomorrow.
Really? I love Portugal. It's my favourite second place in the world.
I think it might be mine, too.
We were married there. Not you and I, but me and my wife.
That's beautiful. That's a good
Whereabouts
place.
are you going?
We're going to Comporta.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
It's very spiritual, Portugal, isn't it?
It really is.
Muji's there. Have you ever been to see Muji?
No.
Oh, you got to see Muji. Okay. Gabrielle, it's great to meet you.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
I'm so happy to be
We're
your friend.
awesome. The team, right? Give yourself a cheer. The team. Give Tuesday, July the 8th, a big fat cheer. We manifested a good show, guys. We'll be doing it again tomorrow. And there's nothing or no one going to stop us.